Hi, and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this reading, I'm going to be doing some quick little love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Amazonite. Group 2 is the Smokey Quartz. And group 3 is the Rose Quartz. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Amazonite. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? And they say, "You are in my heart now and forever, and I will always be faithful to you." So if there had been third-party interference in this situation in the past, this may have been the opinions of friends or family, a fear of being judged or kind of looked down upon by people due to the nature of the connection, specific obstacles or circumstances that stood between the two of you in the material world, or even a third-party energy in the form of another romantic partner. This can really indicate that this person, the person on your mind, your person, is extracting themselves from being so dependent or influenced upon by those energies or those people. Maybe moving away from a karmic partnership in whatever form that takes. They may have recently extracted themselves from something and are now kind of like fitting the pieces of themselves back together again. As much as it may have been an act of liberation for them to advocate for themselves, break away from some kind of toxicity, it has been a loss nonetheless. And so there's a period of time that is necessary for them to sort of recalibrate, gather their thoughts, gather their strength, gather their energy, take their power back from circumstances. Maybe this is requiring them to move in terms of changing of a physical location, changing their routine, their habits, what they're doing for work. If this is somebody like that was, working for a family business, for example, kind of a toxic family dynamic, a lot of controlling and kind of codependency with that, they may have broken away from that, branched off, or are starting to make those plans and preparations for themselves to move in another direction towards something that resonates more with who they are authentically, other goals and dreams that they have that they are trying to reach towards. And in this energy of sort of rebuilding their life in some manner, there are these thoughts, it feels at this point in time, of investing more into you and the connection than they had in the past, if given the opportunity, maybe reaching out, making some kind of an apology, providing some kind of explanation, and kind of this idea of, if they had made a choice to sort of move in another direction previously, they are regretting that decision that was made, and there's a desire to fight more for this connection, fight against the naysayers, the doubts within themselves, fight against maybe limitations or patterns of toxicity within them or within their environment that had compromised the integrity of the connection between the two of you in the past and had led to some choices that this person is now in the process of or has recently sort of disentangled themselves from. Okay, and they say family and work responsibilities are weighing me down and I'm feeling overwhelmed. How can we make this work? So confirmation right there of something maybe changing in terms of like a toxic family dynamic, family members, overprotective parents, helicopter parents that were in this person's business way too much, keeping tabs on them, really calling the shots for this person, even though they were a grown adult. That may have been a factor here, that they are really starting to kind of spread their wings and fly away from the nest, fly away from that situation, starting to, make decisions on their own. This may be a time of transition for them, again, if they're moving out of, like, say, a family business dynamic, or even just kind of pressure from their family to follow along a certain career path, maybe some kind of legacy. Like, everybody in their family's a doctor, so they were expected to become a doctor. Everybody in their family went to a certain school, followed like a certain protocol as far as love and partnerships were concerned, like getting married, having kids, and that this person was sort of just falling in line with that expectation. This is the energy of somebody who is really taking the time to search within, answer the call of their heart, which is calling them in a different direction. And so kind of a period of transition and change at this point, needing to really start over, have some difficult conversations, maybe with friends or family, to set some healthy boundaries, to express more of their true desires, needs, and wants as far as the life that they have been living versus the life that is most in alignment with their own authenticity, that they may need to kind of course correct towards, rebuild in a new direction. They may not be getting a lot of support from that, from the family and friends in this capacity, a lot of pushback in that sense. So a period of this person almost needing to, break away from the fold, kind of like forge their own path in life. And again, really that pushback, that difficulty that they are encountering in doing this, it's really putting into perspective for them the nature of some of these toxic or codependent dynamics that they have been involved in. People that really, they're starting to question if they really had their best interests at heart, or was this just more of like a matter of convenience, how somebody was fitting into the plans of others. So a major kind of transitional period, maybe matters even of kind of like work, some kind of stability that they're trying to build in the material world. They're trying to, gather together those pentacles, make a name for themselves, achieve some degree of success at this point in time. That's top priority for them. But it's the idea of like building in a direction to where they have more confidence in who they are and what they have to offer, to you in terms of a reconciliation, in terms of taking things to the next step, recommitting or deepening their commitment with you from this point forward. But a lot of this also has to do with sort of their self-esteem, working toward feeling really good about how they're spending their time on this earth plane. Some of them really focusing on on wanting to make a difference in the world, wanting to do things for work or fill their time with relationships and activities that matter, that have a purpose, that's more than just spinning the wheels. It's more than just kind of passing the time. It's more than just a sense of duty and obligation. But this is somebody who's in this kind of phase right now of looking for meaning within themselves, seeking personal meaning, and then looking around to see how are the circumstances in their life and the relationships that they have, friends, family, even other romantic partnerships, how is that serving or negating that ultimate kind of like call to action, that sense of purpose that they are wanting to come into alignment with. And they also say, trust me, I will reach out to you soon. So for a lot of you, they may be formulating some kind of a plan to reach forward with an apology to tell you about some of the changes that they've made, relationships that they have let go, a new path that they are headed down in their life, gathering their strength, gathering their courage, wanting to sort of reach some kind of a milestone so that it's not just these empty promises of, I'm going to break away from this, I'm going to change, I'm going to do something different, but that they actually have proof to provide to you as like, these are the changes that I've made. This is how my life is different now compared to when we were last dealing with each other, or compared to kind of how I've been living my life up to this point in time. So you may feel this person energetically sort of like pressing upon you at this point as they are moving into more of a place of personal empowerment, making better choices, kind of like I'm hearing trimming the fat from their existence in a way. So that could talk about, somebody who's starting to take their health and wellness into account, eating better, exercising, moving their body, moving their mind, learning things, stepping outside of their comfort zone in some way. But that can also tie into the idea of sort of like trimming away these excessive relationships, one-sided relationships, codependency, toxicity in a variety of manners, wanting to come to you almost in this fitness of mind, body, and spirit and soul, so that it's not just complications, drama, empty promises, more of the same of what you've experienced up to this point or in the past with this person, but wanting to bring forth something new, fresh energy, to breathe life back into this connection again. And so you two can build in a different direction, in a more wholesome direction, in a healthier direction than what had been the case with you up to this point in time or previously. They also say, can you say ecstasy? This is how I feel whenever we're together. So they are really sensing you energetically, deliberately tapping into you energetically. It feels like wanting that closeness, wanting to come in from out in the cold, wanting to bring to you something that is going to really make you feel comfortable, excited, elated, joyful at the changes that they've made, at the version of themselves that they are in the process of kind of stepping into. This is someone who will continue to remain silent, hold back, be a little bit withdrawn as far as their contact, as far as, kind of the nature of those interactions. If you're in some form of communication at this point in time, they're going to hold back those feelings and those promises until they have the present ability to deliver these things. If there's a lot of stress, a lot of like transitions that they're going through in terms of maybe their living situation, work situation, relationships with friends, family, or even other romantic partners, rather than kind of like stretching themselves too thin in both directions. This is somebody who's, it feels like in the process of kind of closing out one series of cycles, ending a chapter, ending a phase, stepping into, kind of this new energy. They're kind of right in this liminal space and kind of this threshold of rebirthing themselves. And until they make that kind of like final push into this new sort of reality for themselves, a new vibration, a new series of circumstances, something where maybe they've, found a new living situation, found a new job, they've gotten comfortable with that, they've kind of acclimated to that environment. They're not wanting to bring forth drama or complications to you, so it feels like they'll continue to sort of hold back or remain silent until they have something, proof to deliver to you that you can trust in sort of the promises that are made from this point forward, and that the changes that they've implemented and are in the process of implementing are solid. These are reliable. They have staying power, which will hopefully build your confidence in opening the door to reestablishing trust with this individual or moving forward to the next level in this connection. And they also say to struggle is useless since we are magnetically drawn to one another. Just let us happen. So they are really wanting you to remain in this energy of receptivity. Allow them the time and space to push through whatever cycle or phase they are in the process of closing out and simultaneously stepping into for themselves. It feels like part of their journey, part of their work at this point in time is to pivot themselves out of one phase of their life, out of one phase of their development, out of one phase of their energy, their consciousness, into this higher vibration that they are really recognizing you are inhabiting. Hence the fact that they're like tapping into your energy. They're very drawn to you. They're sort of circling the perimeter of your energy, waiting for the right opportunity to sort of come forth, make some communication, make that move forward. So rather than kind of pursuing, pressing, digging too deep into it, putting pressure on this person, definitely from the higher self, they're letting you know to, just continue doing you. Allow them to take the steps necessary to step into that energy of empowerment, to surrender to the pull back in your direction, as they are, continuing to surrender to the pull of the changes that are already taking place in their life and are crystallizing more and more with each passing day. They also say the key is to speak softly and sweetly to me, and I will do my best to honor your request. So this is bringing to mind the idea of somebody who's a little bit irritable right now with kind of the changes that are taking place, as much as this is, the energy of empowerment, of alignment that they are stepping into. These are some hard choices that are being made at this point in time, to stand up for themselves, to break away from tradition, from family in certain manners, maybe to set those healthy boundaries with family, break away from friends, from some kind of level of toxicity or codependency that they are operating in. So they feel very vulnerable at this point in time. Again, kind of from the higher self, this urging to not put that added pressure on, to not try and become too attached to the time and manner that these changes will take place. Understanding that this individual's in this process of their own personal transformation. This is work and kind of advocacy for themselves that needs to take place very individually. And it is contingent on what they are able to bring forth to you in the future. So move into a space of surrender and allowance, not putting your life on hold, continuing to move toward your sense of abundance, standing in your truth and authenticity, which it feels like for a lot of you, this person maybe is like watching you from afar. They're looking to you as an example, or at least feeling energetically into changes you've maybe made in your life, what you're focusing on, the vibration that you are cultivating and keeping, things that you've cut out of your life that hinder that or interfere with that highest vibration, that sense of self, that alignment with your purpose, with a sense of, really finding meaning in how you are spending your time on this earth plane. They're mimicking that vibration. They're being very much pulled towards you at this point in time. So rather than you kind of like lowering that vibration and almost like reaching to sort of put out your hand and pull this person forward into this new timeline, continuing to understand that you represent a horizon, a beacon, a point of attainment that they are working toward energetically within themselves. Continue to embody that within you, and that's the best way that you can help facilitate or encourage this individual in the changes that they are in the process of kind of implementing, or are even just like right on the precipice of starting to really put their foot down in certain circumstances, really kind of clean house in a lot of ways. And they also say, I didn't see your value and true worth. So this can be like the idea of the grass being greener on the other side. This may have been something that they thought in the past. If maybe friends or family, question the connection. There was something about the dynamic between the two of you, maybe you individually, that was a little bit different from who they had come to believe was kind of like, the right type of person for them. There's a lot of regret at having almost squandered the truth of their heart in the interest of appeasing kind of the whims, the opinions, the projections of other people. This has been a hard lesson that they have had to learn, whatever they've invested in, whether that was, a third-party romantic connection, falling in line or continuing to fall in line with what, other people had prescribed for them as kind of the right path, the right way to go, what they should be focusing on, prioritizing. Even if no one had directly interfered, it was almost this, for a lot of you, it feels like a fear of what would people think? How would this look? How does this appear on the outside, this dynamic, this connection? Maybe all of that is a projection of like the intensity and nature of what they felt for you, that it's so unlike what people in their world and in their experience had going on as far as romantic partnerships, that it was just kind of like, well, how's this going to fit into my world, into my reality? How are people going to understand this next level spiritual connection? And so they chose to kind of disconnect, move away, put you on the back burner, make you feel like an option, or to just completely not choose you in the past. It's a decision that they've regretted for a while, it feels like, and the deeper that they move into the space of change, contemplating change, making change for themselves, they're clearing their vibration, they're kind of raising that vibration in a lot of ways, cleaning house, being more discerning and selective with sort of the energies and the influences that they allow in, the company that they keep, what they do with their time, their goals, the actualization of their own potential, all of these things. It's helping them to see more clearly what you represent. Again, that idea of like a beacon on the horizon, a point to sort of move toward, ways in which they are emulating, mimicking kind of the steps that you've taken, even just vibrationally, maybe directly looking to you as an example, seeing you in a very empowered stance. You've made some hard decisions. You've been very brave and kind of fearlessly moving toward, alignment with your personal truth, making healthy choices for yourself in life and in the company that you're keeping. And all of this is really, it's encouraging and inspiring for this person, and it's something that they're recognizing is also lacking in their other dynamics as well. So like the healthier they become, the more balanced they become in their vibration, the clearer they are able to see that, out of the people that they've dealt with romantically up to this point, people that are in their life presently, people that have been in their life in the past, that there was something they overlooked about you, the potential, what was really being triggered or instigated within them rather than just an irritant. It was almost this call to better themselves, to step into that next best version of themselves, which they may not have appreciated in the past, but and kind of the energy and the process and the place that they are in right now, they're starting to really value that over maybe the more kind of like toxic or superficial attributes of people, or kind of the values that they were having before, the priorities that they had before. These things are no longer fulfilling them. They're craving this spiritual sustenance, this kind of triggering for the purposes of growth in a way that in the past they may not have been able, willing, or ready to do. They also say, I constantly think about our past precious moments. So this is that Six of Cups energy, that energy of nostalgia, missing you, looking back on the times that you spent together, the warmth and the laughter, a lot of heaviness as well about a decision to maybe move away from you, ways in which they overlooked your value, they underappreciated you, failed to, even express their feelings for some of you, and just kind of chose the easier route, the connection that was less challenging or that fit the mold of what they really thought, was kind of their perfect partner, what would look really good on paper, for example. There's a desire to course correct, a bit of lamentation, feeling kind of bad that they can't turn back the clock and make a different decision. But with that in mind, it's definitely encouraging this person to continue with this process of personal transformation, to grow and evolve beyond the version of themselves you were dealing with previously and that they've been occupying up to this point in time, so that from that empowered stance, they are able to bring forth something to you of value and of worth that hopefully the two of you can kind of construct the connection in a different way with one another, rebuild the foundation in a more solid manner. And they also say, I'm waiting for the right time to return. So another confirmation of somebody who, is wanting to reach out, wanting to resurface, not just wanting to dwell in the land of woulda, coulda, shoulda. That may be all they can do at this point in time, as they have kind of like other things that they are in the process of wrapping up in their life or implementing in their life. The time might not be right. They want to bring something to you where it's not just empty promises or like, I'm in the process of working on this, or I'll change this, tomorrow, next week, next month. No, they want to wait until those changes have been made, where they've got, something very specific to say, look, I've moved away from this. I've gotten this out of my life. I've changed this about myself, about my vibration, about my priorities, about the company that I'm keeping. So that offer that is made, that what is presented to you, it's something that's not just like a wishy-washy energy. It's not more of the same of what you'd experienced in the past, but it has real staying power, something of substance, something of value, something of worth. forth. So with that in mind, it feels like someone who will continue to just sort of remain silent, watching from afar, circling the perimeter of your energy until they feel more in a place of balance, and have solidified these changes that they are actively making at this point in time, in order to bring forth to you some sort of evidence of actual change, so that the decision to maybe let them back into your life to rebuild with this individual is based on kind of like some certainty. It's based on something where, you know, there can be like a meaningful reconciliation, a meaningful reconnecting with one another, rather than just kind of like false start energy, or stretching themselves too thin as they're kind of like moving out of one world, one way of being, one vibration, and haven't fully kind of like actualized the other. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got D, R, J, M, X, and S. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there is a little different from here. I do pick-a-cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the subject matters that I cover are related to spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the Smokey Quartz. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say, I love you dearly and deeply. I hope someday I will have the courage to say this to you directly. So if this is someone you're in no contact with, this is definitely not an out of sight, out of mind situation. They are thinking heavily about you. You still occupy a very special place within their heart. This may have been a circumstance or a situation of missed opportunity where they never quite actually told you how they felt. They may have alluded to that. There could have been a lot of flirtation back and forth, a lot of innuendos. But they failed to act upon that when they had the chance. And it's something that has really sat with them. It's categorically a regret that they have, something that, no matter how much time has gone on, they keep circling back to that, wishing that they had the courage to make different decisions in the past, searching for a way, searching within themselves for barriers and obstacles that keep them from creating a way forward at this point in time from where you find yourselves. But it feels like someone who's almost more in a disempowered state at this point in time. Being very hard on themselves, sitting in the energy of regret, kind of like fearing that if you are single, if you are unattached, that you will be taken off the market before they have the ability to kind of build up the courage and the wherewithal to reach out to you. And it's almost like somebody who, is facing a lot of fears. There's a sense of pressure, time really being a factor here. And yet at the same time, they're getting in their own way, operating in kind of a lack mentality, wondering, would it be too little too late? Focusing so much on what was not done correctly in the past, what they failed to do, even just ways in which they didn't take the time to fully appreciate you. If they had spoken loving words, it's almost like wishing that they had told you more frequently and in more detail that how much they love you, how much they care about you, how much they cared then and still care. You're weighing heavily on their mind. Dreams may be very significant at this point in time, that it's almost like there's so much focus on you and on the past, maybe through kind of outside reminders that they're having, certain anniversaries or like milestone events that, as this season or this time approaches, it's something where, if you've been in no contact with this person for a while, they always think about you at a particular time of year. Or maybe it's coming up on, like a year where things have gone quiet between the two of you, something major, some kind of like major transitional point here where all the thoughts are going back to wishing they had done something differently in the past. The signs exterior to themselves, seeing your name a lot, seeing even people that the two of you knew in common, or seeing people who remind them of you just out and about in their daily life. All these little triggers are bringing them back to that point of what they're considering is almost like a failure within themselves, a failure for not being more courageous, more in touch with their heart center, not taking the opportunity to invest more in the connection in the past than they had, to express their true feelings. And it's kind of like the idea of speak now or forever hold your peace. And they're really leaning on that energy of forever, not really searching for solutions in a very proactive way, or again, feeling the present ability to make a bridge between kind of the space and time that exists between the two of you. Kind of someone who's having a little bit of a pity party. It's like wishful thinking, like in the ideal situation in the perfect world, you would just kind of run into them and hopefully then they'd have the ability to speak truth that they had withheld in the past, if an apology is owed. Again, it's not an energy of feeling very proactive, like they are in a place within themselves in terms of their own kind of estimate of the value of the love and affection they have to give to be able to take concrete steps to you. But it's a very passive energy, a lot of prayer that might be going on at this point, like, please universe, give me the chance to make this right at some point in time. And yet there's all this pressure and anxiety of time ticking by, and kind of like every day that goes by, it just sort of compounds the fact that they have the power in their hands to act, but are failing to do that at this point in time, and have for some period of time just held these feelings within with nowhere to go. They haven't extinguished. The feelings have intensified in a lot of ways. It's almost a little bit of obsessive energy where they're just sort of ruminating or circling around kind of a crossroads point where they didn't act, or they had, kind of shooed away the connection. They had spoken in direct contrast to the truth and nature of what they were feeling, maybe very intimidated by the connection. Other circumstances that, didn't have kind of like the ingredients, the recipe for a very smooth start between the two of you. They may have been very overwhelmed by those challenges, by those complications, and it's the energy of almost wishing they fought harder for you and this connection in the past, but really unable to extract themselves from that point of regret presently. And they also say it would break my heart to see you with somebody else. So again, this idea of like a window of opportunity that they feel is closing. If you are unattached at this point in time, maybe you have dated other people since seeing this person, and if you're single at this point in time, either they are aware of that by watching you on social media, or they're feeling that energetically. If you've been unattached since dealing with them, they may also be sensing a change in the wind within you energetically, somebody new getting ready to come in. And it's adding to the sense of urgency, like I better act now, I need to do something now. But it's almost like the more pressure that they are sensing or feeling, even like signs and messages that they're getting to like act, to do something, to reach out, to make amends, to repair the situation, to do what they can, do what they must, do what's ever necessary to try and, at least sort of present their case for reunion, for reconciliation to you. The more pressure, the more kind of urgency, the more nudges that they get in that direction from their higher self and from the universe. It's almost like they're frozen in place, kind of like a deer in the headlights, almost very overwhelmed at the possibility that they may just have to sit with this energy of regret for the rest of their life, knowing on a certain level they have the power in their hands to, at least take a chance, to at least know one way or another, can this situation be repaired, or is all hope lost? And yet they're failing to step into that place of empowerment. It feels like they're deeply rooted in fear right now. They may have some root chakra blockages where it's almost like standing in place is so uncomfortable for them, but there's a fear of the unknown, a fear of the repercussions, a fear of rejection that is really holding them back at this point in time. So a lot of anxiety you might be picking up from this person. It's almost like this energy of that they're looming energetically around you, near you, again, maybe sensing, something shifting within your vibration, or, kind of like the more that they're sort of obsessing over this, it's becoming apparent to them what they have left behind in the past. And it's almost the sense of, what have I done? I've left behind this blessing. I turned down this blessing from the universe. I didn't appreciate it. Somebody else surely will. I have to get back in there. I have to do something. I have to try and make this right. But they feel very much like they're just focused on the obstacles at this point, rather than having the courage to, at least take that chance. It's almost like they can't help but just stand there and watch time go by, watch your vibration, literally watch it in terms of social media, or, any other way they're able to see you. Maybe this is like a coworker, for example, somebody who, you have people in common with, friends in common. They're hearing about you through the grapevine. Maybe they're seeing you out and about in some manner. For a lot of you, it's just like tapping in energetically. They're sensing your vibration raising. They're sensing you stepping more into your personal power, into this energy of abundance. And it's only logical that as you're magnetizing in all these other blessings, love and partnership will be among these blessings as well. So it's almost like the more you come into alignment with the best version of self, the more pressure it puts on them. But they feel very weighted down by kind of fear and all of like the obstacles and the worst case scenarios that's keeping them from taking action towards you at this point in time. And they also say, I have shed tears over us. You were the only one who could break down the wall I put around my heart. So when you were dealing with this person last, and perhaps even in a lot of ways at this point in time, they may have been very guarded, very wounded, hung up on an ex or some kind of heartbreak that they were still reeling from. This may have been something where very unexpectedly you came into one another's lives. So this is still somebody who's operating in like this energy of heartbreak. They weren't looking for love. And all of a sudden there you were, something where almost again this idea of like a blessing or the gift that the universe had provided. Here's a way to heal. Here's a way to sort of rewrite your experience of love. And they failed to act upon that. They failed to seize that opportunity. It's a regret that sits heavily with them. For some of them, they may have even had like a heart chakra awakening when they came into proximity with you, into contact with you through the experiences together. And it's something which it was so overwhelming, all kind of this great potential for love, and at the same time confronting all all of the barriers and obstacles, choices and roads that were taken that are in kind of the opposite polarity of that. It feels that they are very much fixed in this position of obstacle at this point in time. They're still reeling from that. Their heart has been opened and it has never closed back. As much as they've kind of put down that sort of wall between the two of you, block things off, put on this mask of being very unbothered, maybe going back into their shell or into their comfort zone of, very unemotional, surface level connections, having these kind of like views about love stinks, love is horrible, I don't need love, I'm very good, being unattached, or just keeping kind of like surface level company, shallow company, connections that don't necessarily challenge them, things that only are just really good on the surface. Inside, behind that wall, behind that masquerade and that facade, there's a lot of deep sort of regret, fear at having turned away almost like the gift and the medicine for this heartbreak that they have had within. Kind of a period of reckoning that they've been at this point as well, in the aftermath of dealing with you, where again, these feelings have not been extinguished. They have continued to dwell within this person. All these reminders that they are getting, it's helping them to really see contrast between what was experienced with you, or even just the potential of that, versus what they've known of love before. So they're really being shown how kind of this skewed view, this very like distorted view, this very kind of, sort of crunched up view of love that they had, a very tattered view through people that were, careless with their heart, maybe even something from their distant past that they weren't consciously aware of was still an interference. It was still a blockage. It had created the idea of distortion. It in and of itself, that heartbreak was a third party energy in this situation. They're starting to really understand how that has worked to their disadvantage. And that change is necessary, but they don't feel at a state presently to be very equipped to make those changes. They're very almost like helplessly just kind of like watching the movie of all of these experiences, the past with you, the past with other people, choices that they've made, the consequences that has yielded. They're just taking it all in at this point in time, which is actually a very necessary kind of phase. It's sort of learning that terrain of rock bottom on a sense, in order to be able to, consciously kind of navigate their way beyond that point in the future. They also say, can I take you out for some ice cream with sprinkles? So they want to resume kind of the sweetness in this situation. They're sitting in a lot of sour energy at this point in time. There is a desire for change, a desire to mend the situation, to change your view of them, or to really just kind of, treat you, pamper you, appreciate you, savor you in ways that they had not done previously. It feels like a lot of kind of like hard truths that they're sitting with, and it's helping them to really appreciate as well kind of the influence, the presence that you were in their life previously. It's a bitter taste, the decisions that they have made, and kind of all this regret, all of this fear that they're really confronted with at this point in time, all of this passivity and this perception of not being able to act at this point, that there's just almost like at the soul level, they're crying out for relief, they're crying out for assistance. It feels like they're actually calling divine intervention into this circumstance. So there may be something that changes very dramatically for this person, some kind of an infusion of confidence, some kind of a wake-up call that needs to happen. Again, this energy of like learning the terrain of rock bottom in order to be able to pivot in a new direction. Step more into a place of confidence, work on forgiveness of themselves, work to sort of extract the lessons and the wisdom out of the experiences, choices that were made that were not in alignment with their or other people's highest good, in order to be able to do better moving forward. And for some of you, going out to ice cream may be very significant. That can be kind of like a sign or sort of a confirmation of an experience you had with this person. And if so, they're missing that, almost like your little dessert dates, or just kind of like sweeter times, wanting to make some kind of change. And this is also bringing forth like summertime energy. So this may be somebody who, by the summertime, they've kind of learned that terrain of rock bottom sufficiently where they are able to pivot into a new direction, bring forth something, maybe even asking you out on an ice cream date. And they also say, our first meeting was well timed and planned by the heavens. So again, they're seeing you as almost this blessing from above, that your emergence in their life was no coincidence, and they may have overlooked that in the past. This reality is hitting home at this point in time, and it's almost adding to this element of sort of like panic. Like, what have I done? What have I sacrificed? What have I overlooked in the past? A lot of energy of nostalgia here, better times that you spent together, recapturing those moments, replaying those moments, almost again like a movie in their head over and over and over again, but not feeling very empowered at this point in time to kind of like write a new story, to rewrite the future, to create a new outcome in this circumstance, in this situation. But with this energy of really doing this review, this like moral inventory, an inventory of their choices in their life, the more they're looking at this in very subtle ways, they're almost like picking up these indicators of this worked, this was, the right vibration, this was the sweetness, this is the sweet spot that you want to aim for, and kind of like reviewing and rehashing all the errors and the mistakes is helping them to really understand in the future, if given the chance, or when hopefully that courage, that place of empowerment is reached, to make a bridge, make the effort, take that leap of faith. This is what to avoid going forward. This is a vibration not to be in. It's helping them to kind of understand that contrast. What didn't work in terms of themselves, their views on love and partnership, how they were showing up in the situation in the past, what was working, so that moving forward, they're able to almost like recalibrate in a better direction with you. And they also say the powers that be are within you. Believe this and you will achieve greatness. So again, more of that energy of motivation, wanting to move past this kind of darkness, this anxiety, but still in this process of like reaching out for divine guidance, divine help, a lot of prayer, a lot of desperation within this person that, as much as they're putting on kind of this happy face, that they're very pleased with their situation, they're very content in their life, they're, not thinking about you, they're not thinking about any of this, they're exactly where they need to be. For a lot of you, this person is like crying out from inside. It's bringing forth the phrase quiet desperation is kind of how they are living their life at this point in time. Looking all around them at sort of the kingdom they have created for themselves, the yield of the choices that they have made. And it's just not as satisfying as they thought that it might have been. They keep being drawn back to something being missing. Something that, they're wanting to like recapture. It's a vibration, it's a feeling, it's a sweetness that they experienced with you that they took for granted. Maybe even these other elements of like heart chakra awakening, this very spiritual connection, it overwhelmed them. It caused them to self-sabotage. This is not an energy that they will sit in forever, but it feels like a very necessary stage of learning that terrain of the rock bottom in order to be able to decipher how, when, and where to move forward in a new and better direction for themselves. And they also say, I wish I had a second chance. So yeah, really wishing they had made different decisions, wanting reconciliation, wanting to start over, wanting a do-over in this situation. A lot of regrets for how they had taken you for granted, had not appreciated the connection more, had failed to fight for this connection more, or had outwardly just missed the opportunity to create a connection in the first place. Not feeling empowered enough at this point to create that opportunity for themselves, begging the universe to somehow make this possible. Fast forward to that point where the two of you are eye to eye once again. Maybe this is even just, online, if this was never like a face-to-face connection between the two of you, but just almost kind of like wishing that hard work could be done for them through outside circumstances. A lot of planning and strategizing as far as like, what would they say? What would they do different? But feeling very overwhelmed and intimidated as far as actually taking steps to make that happen. They also say, I abandoned a good thing. So another confirmation of regret. The grass was not greener on the other side, even if this is something where they didn't move in the direction of a third-party connection, but they just chose not to invest with you. It's a regret that sits with them. They really see you as a blessing, as some kind of remedy, some ability that they would have had to rewrite the narrative of love for themselves. You're very different from anyone they've known. It was a different experience with you in the past. They've not been able to get over you, get over the situation, and they're almost like crying out within for redemption in this matter, wanting to do things over, wanting a new chance, wanting a fresh start with you. And they also say, I try so hard to ignore you. So they may be distracting themselves at this point in time. Again, a lot of reminders that they're getting in dreams, signs, synchronicities, things popping up in their reality, reminders on social media, just all kinds of things bombarding them, bringing their focus back around to you missed something, you made a wrong turn, you need to course correct, you need to make this right. And the more that these reminders are coming in, the more pressure it's putting upon this person to where they feel very helpless and very disempowered at this point in time. But it does feel like a very necessary phase to hopefully summoning that courage within themselves to make better choices, better decisions, and to move out of this passive energy into, more proactive, being willing to take a chance, willing to take a leap of faith, speak what's on their heart, speak what's on their mind, regardless of the outcome, just so that it's honored, it's made known, it is embodied in kind of the physical world through the words that they are using. Time is not diminishing the affection that they have for you. They're constantly being reminded you're in their heart, you're on their mind, and there's a lot of pressure and heaviness for having let you go. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got C, E, D, P, V, L, M, and A. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there's a little different from here. I do pick-a-cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the subject matters that I cover are related to spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. I chose the rose quartz. So I'm going to be getting 3 cards from 3 different decks, and let's see, what does your person want you to know from their higher self right now? say, I can't imagine my life without you. You rock my world. So this person, if you're in separation with them, they still actively watch you on social media. They look at your photos. They tap into your energy. It almost feels that they are communicating with you, even energetically speaking, despite the fact that there may be physical distance between the two of you. It's like your energy is a companion for them, and it may have been something that was a little overwhelming to them at first, but now it just almost like you feel like their best buddy, kind of. And they look forward to seeing signs about you, getting little winks or synchronicities energetically from you. They look forward to you turning up in dreams. It's a regular part of their day. If you have some kind of social media presence where you're regularly posting things, maybe you have a channel, or you're putting a lot out on different social media platforms, this person's definitely watching, observing, very quietly and from the shadows, maybe from like a fake profile or just anonymously kind of looking these things up. They anticipate, they look forward, you're the highlight of their day. Hearing your voice, seeing your face, seeing what you're up to. It's like watching and enjoying your life, even though they are kind of on the outside looking in. At this point in time, it feels that is safest for them. They don't feel ready to kind of emerge from this very cloaked stance. If they had been very overwhelmed or had run from the connection in the past, maybe again a lot of telepathy, energetic communication between the two of you that they're starting to really appreciate, lean into, actively have these conversations with you in their mind and energetically speaking. They may still be in this phase of trying to navigate the nature of a spiritual dynamic between the two of you. And it's bringing to mind the phrase, not now, but not never. So this is definitely in their comfort zone. They're not wanting to have your energy sort of move away from them. It's almost like when they feel you at a distance, they kind of like panic. So a little bit of codependency kind of tied to your energy, tethered to your energy. You may feel very kind of like drained by this person. You may feel them pulling on your energy at different points in time. A lot of that feels to relate to almost like this sense of kind of panic. Like if you haven't posted regularly, they're like, where are they at? What's going on? Or something even where they've, you've had like a dream encounter with one another, and they're fixated on that. They're playing that over and over again. A lot of like photos, old photos they may have of you, conversations that are saved, emails and whatnot, that they go back through and they reread this, especially if they've been having like a hard day, a very rough time, if they're going through sort of a dark phase. It's almost like they're tapping into your light, into your love, into your vibration as a way to warm themselves, inspire themselves. If you're very sensitive to energies, you may be picking up on that as well. So as much as they're trying to remain cloaked, it's almost like the elephant in the room. It's very unspoken between the two of you, but for a lot of you, it feels that you can really sense this. You really almost like sense somebody lurking around, or this person directly. You know that they're keeping tabs on you, even without them having like said anything. You can just kind of like pick up and decipher that. They're coming to mind a lot. They're showing up in your dreams a lot. You're getting their telepathic messages. So a very deep and almost like chattery energy in those higher realms that might be very much a contrast for like complete radio silence in the 3D at this point. And they also say, I stare at your picture a lot. You are so beautiful. So confirmation there of this person keeping tabs on you on social media. If you have social media, they may even just be looking back on old photos, or even just photographs that they have in their mind, reminiscing on times that they spent when they last, looked at you, when they last were kind of eye to eye with you. And it's something where, you still are very captivating for them. They're very fascinated by you, even energetically speaking. It's something that they can't take their eyes off of you. And there's a lot I'm not even going to like say all the songs that are coming through, but there's so many like fragments of songs that are coming through just in channeling these first two cards here. It's too many to like list them all out as here's your channeled song in kind of the description box of the video, but music may be very significant for them as well. They're listening to love songs, listening to songs that remind them of you, wanting to restore balance and harmony in this connection, in this situation, but feeling that for the time being, silence is the best kind of circumstances to be in very presently. They feel most comfortable just being that kind of spectator on the sidelines, not yet ready to come forth with some truth, some kind of revelation, or some kind of an apology. They also say, I pushed you away because I felt smothered and unworthy of your love, kindness, and affection. So definitely somebody that may have like fears of commitment, some heartbreak that they were still nursing within themselves, maybe even very unconsciously. The experience with you could have really clued them into, again, a lot that they had been holding on to as far as distortions from their past. It doesn't even feel like they necessarily were hung up on an ex per se, but this might have been something where the energetic cords still existed, the wounds, that disappointment, the betrayal, maybe even times where they were rejected, where they opened up, they gave their all to a situation only to have that fall apart. It caused this person to become like closed off and guarded in a certain manner, to where when something was really sparked between the two of you, it may have been very enticing, very alluring. Like they couldn't help but watch and be drawn in closer, but at the same time, it was triggering a lot of deep, unconscious, unhealed wounds within them that caused them to almost push you away, but they are now, kind of deciphering. It feels like they're not completely through that phase of getting all the answers, but they're starting to really see that it wasn't you who was the problem. It was something within them. Like, why did they push away a good thing? They're still so fascinated by you. The feelings have not diminished. I'm hearing you're still my favorite work of art. So they're loving seeing your transformation, your energetic transformation, your physical transformation, any glow ups that you've had, any abundance that you've cultivated or that you're receiving at this point in your life. They're very much a cheerleader for that. They're very happy for you. And it almost feels to be a way in which they may be kind of like spiritually bypassing some of this work that they need to do within themselves. What wounds within them cause them not to continue to kind of walk by your side or to take that opportunity to be your companion in this process of growth and evolution and love. All of that, again, really stemming from you highlighting for them in a very unconscious manner, kind of like the next possible evolution of what love could be, how that could be experienced between two people, but then also kind of bringing forth, unearthing a lot of these unhealed wounds and kind of blockages to love, parts of themselves that didn't believe fully that they were capable of kind of being that match for you, that love of this kind, of this caliber could be sustained in a long-term sense, almost a feeling of like you're too good to be true, so this kind of like pushed them away, made them push you away. Self-sabotage may be sort of an issue for this person relating to love and partnership, other areas of their life in general. All of these things that they're needing to work on, that feels to be almost like why they're most comfortable staying in the shadows, because they're wanting to kind of like fast track to the better results, really kind of savoring the situation without really doing all of that hard work. Still a little bit of like not necessarily wanting to look fully at their own reflection at this point in time. They're getting glimpses of that, glimmers of that, as much as they're kind of like leaning into you, energetically speaking, watching you, being very fascinated by you. There's also these kind of like nudges and reminders of, you could have this too. You could step into this vibration too. You could be standing by this person's side if only you work on and release and kind of move through and come to a place of understanding about all those sort of inhibitions and prohibitions within self that sort of limit the actualization of that potential. They also say you have been my catalyst for growth and change in this perplexing world. So definitely somebody who has undergone some kind of spiritual awakening. They may be sitting in a dark night of the soul energy, starting to kind of come out the other side of that. Again, really pulling on your light, on your energy as kind of a companion during this phase. They feel most comfortable in the silence on some level, the higher self level and deep within subconsciously. They know there's still a lot of growth and transformation that needs to take place in order to be able to create like a sustainable fresh start between the two of you. So if you were wondering if, maybe the activations and the spiritual awakening, if this was mutually felt, mutually experienced, this can definitely be that confirmation that yes, this person has been activated in some manner. They have been deeply affected by you energetically. The two of you are very much working with one another in tandem from those higher realms at this point in time. So while there may be kind of distance or difficulty between the two of you in the physical realms, from those higher self perspectives, you two are, you're like this, you're braided together, you're very entwined. It's like quantum entanglement. So, the growth and the evolution that you do, what takes place within you, they feel that. It reverberates to them. It almost like taps them on the shoulder, like, hey, you could have this too. Do the work and you can reach this level of vibration too. So it's very much an incentive. They're very fascinated by that, very drawn to that. Learning a lot from you. If you have like a social media presence where you talk about spirituality, you're publishing kind of things about your own growth and your own evolution, maybe just even in, kind of casual ways. They're noticing this change subtly within your aura, within your energy, within your life, within your priorities. And it's very inspirational to them. It's very fascinating to them. By kind of like watching and learning and studying from you, they're starting to really decipher more within themselves, starting to get some answers to, kind of these things that have been needling at them from within, kind of like, how do I reach that level within myself? What do I need to do in order to kind of mimic, emulate, or reach that kind of level of like abundance of the soul, energetic abundance, which then, can magnetize out in terms of abundant experiences in the material plane. They also say you have many endearing qualities and marvelous talents that simply astound me. So some of you may be musically inclined. You're putting that out there. This person is aware of that. They're watching you. This can be a fan or a subscriber, a follower on some kind of social media platform or profile. If you are artistically inclined and you put that out there in a public sense, this person is very much aware of that. Any abundance that you've created, they are aware. Either people that you know in common have told them about this. Maybe an algorithm has brought you to their attention. This is somebody where even though they are quiet, they are remaining kind of that spectator in the shadows. They are very aware of what is happening in your life. This may have even been something where energetically they sensed such a shift in you that they sought you out, did some deep Googling, did some research, found out kind of what's going on in your life, and it's very inspirational to them. The way in which you've moved through the ebb and the flow of your own personal spiritual journey, your own process of awakening, of stepping into that best version of self. It's very encouraging for this individual. It's that nudge that, tells them, hey, get on your path, do the work within self. As difficult as and uncomfortable as that process of growth can be, on the other side of that, you will achieve that abundance. It won't be the dark night forever. It won't be all that strain and that chaos and that process of letting go forever. On the other side of that cocoon, there's rebirth, there's new life, there's a new way of being, there's an abundance of soul, spirit, heart, mind, and body that is possible, of energy. All of these things were like foreign concepts to this person before. They very much feared change in a lot of ways, very fixed in their ways, very attached unconsciously to these wounds and barriers within them that caused them to push you away in the first place. But as you are kind of moving through the process of your growth, your ascension, it's encouraging them to come out of hiding, come out of the shadows, breathe into their comfort zone, allow themselves to expand beyond the limitations of self, to step forth into the unknown, allow the questions that they have to be answered in the time and manner in which they will. So very profoundly transformative energy and connection between the two of you. You're both guiding and supporting one another in the higher realms despite what's happening in the physical world. But for a lot of you, this person in the physical world is actually like watching you, seeking you out, very aware of what's happening in your life, can't take their eyes off of you. And they also say, after the storm, clouds, and the rain come the sun. Change is inevitable. So this can definitely talk about dark night of the soul energy that this person is in. They're trying to ride these storms. They're trying to ride these waves, a bit of resistance that still may be happening, kind of a little bit of a pity party that could be going on. Change is difficult, especially profound spiritual growth. It is not easy by any means. They're looking to you as a source of encouragement for that. Your light helps to kind of warm them during a dark period of themselves. You bring a lot of illumination. They are seeing you in a very empowered energy. They want that for themselves, and they're studying you, it feels like, energetically speaking or in the physical world, to see, how did you do this? How did you move through this process? What is your going on with you as far as transformation? How can I emulate that within myself? There is a desire to move into this state of empowerment, not wanting to kind of remain in the shadows forever, but feeling at this point in time that it's most necessary. They feel most comfortable just being that quiet observer, but in a long-term sense, there is this almost this plan or desire, a feeling of that it's inevitable for the two of your paths to cross again, or for them to kind of find whatever answers they're seeking, go through this process of change, which may be slow, it may be delayed, there may be a lot of resistance at this point in time, but they see you as part of their long-term future. They see you as somebody that they want to reconnect with further on the horizon, to move toward joy. They want a happy ending in this circumstance. They don't want to leave the situation as it exists between the two of you at this point in time, but it's taking them some time to kind of find that strength within themselves. They're struggling to become that light in the darkness, and they are looking to you energetically or in the physical world as kind of the way shower for how to do that. They also say, I need space. So again, this kind of energy of the cocoon, feeling most comfortable in the shadows. It's kind of like the unspoken truth, the elephant in the room. You both know that one another is aware of each other, energetically speaking. You may be very aware, just in terms of your own intuition, that this person is somewhere around. They're watching. They've at least checked in on one occasion, more than one occasion, and it's from the higher self. There's asking you to honor that need for space. That when the time is right, they do have the intention of coming forth, stepping into that place of empowerment, bringing out some truth, bringing out some kind of like offer of reconciliation to fill you in on everything that has happened. They are in the process. They're in almost like their moon energy, their shadow energy, learning to find that light, needing to navigate through the dark corners of themselves. They need time and space to do this. This is a necessary part of your journey, this separation. Just as much as you've needed to change very independently, they need that same time and space in order to be able to go through this process very organically, in tandem with spirit, in tandem with their higher self. It's this added kind of message of, at the higher self level, the two of you are companions for one another through this. You're supporting them, you're helping them, send them that love from afar, but allow them this process, allow them this time and space to go through these changes, go with the flow, trust that in the time and manner that they are meant to, that they will emerge from this stronger, more in alignment with their authenticity, higher in vibration than they were before, and in that space then they can bring something to you that carries with it the energies of measurable change. They also say, I wish you never found out that secret. So this can tie into the idea of that they know that you are watching them. They wish that they could cloak themselves a little bit better, but it is what it is. So it's just kind of like this elephant in the room, this unspoken reality that they are aware of you, you're aware that they're aware of you, and it's just this game of a masquerade that the two of you must play at this point in time. They wish they could come forward, that they could bring something out more into the open, out into the surface more, but at this point in time, silence, standing in the shadows is what feels most comfortable for them. This can also tie into any kind of like untruths that they had spoken in the past, a sense of regret with that. This can tie into somebody who maybe denied having feelings for you, self-sabotage projected upon you, pushed you away rather than kind of admitting that they were feeling very overwhelmed by the situation, very triggered, very scared of love. There's a sense of that, through your own maybe like healing, growth, evolution, maybe downloads that you've had, things that have come through in dreams or from the higher self, that in some way you may have been aware of this, that this person was operating out of a stance of a shadow, and it's making them feel very almost embarrassed for that element of themselves. Like they wish that you hadn't seen them that way, seen them at their worst, and that they hadn't conducted themselves in that manner, and that they almost wanted to be the one in the material world to bring forth that apology astrology, but just in your process of like needing answers, it's almost like they're mad at their higher self for spilling the beans about the situation, like telling you about something, the truth of what was going on. You may have almost been at the point of really being ready to disconnect from this person, and some kind of communication came in from the higher self, that sort of like reassured you of the nature of the connection still, kind of provided you with those clues or those indications of where this person was at, which they almost wanted that to remain a secret so that it could be a surprise further down the road. So there's a little bit of regret that it had to be done in this manner, that it has to be this way at this point between the two of you. They also say you deserve so much better. So again, this person is in the process of raising their vibration, healing, growing, knowing that they need to go through this process of personal transformation and evolution before they can bring forth something to you as far as measurable change. They know that where they are at right now, if they were to come forth out of the shadows, there's still kind of this work in progress. There's still a lot that they need to kind of grow from and heal from within themselves. So they will continue to kind of remain distant, remain that kind of observer, that subscriber, that fan, that almost like a guardian angel energy just kind of hovering around you energetically until they feel in a place of like readiness within themselves, until they have worked through a lot of these obstacles and kind of the difficulties that cause them to sort of push the connection away in the past. Fears of commitment, residual heartbreak, fears of betrayal, fears of almost like stepping forth into a higher level love that need to be kind of worked through within themselves before they are able to bring forth something to you that matches this very high vibration, this high level of esteem that they have for you. They want to emulate that. They want to grow into that with themselves in a very organic manner. They have been activated by you, by this connection. They're in the process of growth. For a lot of you, they're in that dark night of the soul. They're struggling in that cocoon, wishing they could speed up the time, but understanding that, at this phase of the journey, it's all about surrender. And so in the interim, while they are kind of in this place of, being transformed, having their life transformed, being shown the ways in which they need to exact transformation for themselves, they're very fixated on your energy, watching, learning, studying, admiring, warming themselves by the light of your very high vibration. And it's something that they are, kind of in their own way and in their own time and manner, they are trying to grow into that, trying to match that, trying to mirror that within themselves so they can bring forth something to you of measurable value and worth to hopefully reconstruct or build the connection in a new and better direction. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got F, H, C, W, B, N, M, and S. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there is a little different from here. I do pick a cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the subject matters that I cover are related to spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.